We begin tonight with Flight 370. The major new clue, was it deliberately brought down?
The search for MH370 is officially over. After 11 years, a cutting-edge sonar drone just picked up a signal from the plane's black box. We have the location. But that's not the crazy part. The drone that found it is 100 times more powerful than anything ever used before, capable of mapping the seabed down to the inch. You see, this isn't just about finding the plane anymore. The signal's location points to something so deliberate, so calculated, that it changes everything we thought we knew. The truth is far more chilling than anyone imagined. The sound that solved it all. You see, reports are flooding in about a sonar anomaly captured by Ocean Infinity's newest fleet of underwater drones. And these aren't your average underwater robots. They are armed with deep-sea scanning technology so powerful it can map the ocean floor thousands of feet down in total darkness. On their latest mission, these drones painted a picture of the seabed that included something that shouldn't be there, something that could change everything we thought we knew about the fate of MH370. At the center of all this is Dr. Vincent Line, a former researcher who has been obsessed with the disappearance for years. To put it mildly, his dedication goes beyond normal scientific curiosity. He hasn't been chasing wild theories, he's been buried in data from satellite pings to ocean drift models. It was in this sea of information that he found something that stopped him in his tracks, a strange anomaly on a terrain map of the ocean floor. To most people, it would look like a glitch. But to Dr. Line, it looked like the final resting place of a 777. Now, many people are crazy about any new lead, but this isn't the first time we've heard about a potential breakthrough. Over the years, there have been countless sonar blips and pieces of floating debris that led to nothing but disappointment. What makes this different, according to insiders, is how perfectly it lines up with the newest satellite tracking data and the drift analysis from confirmed MH370 debris. Unlike past leads that fizzled out, this one sits right in the sweet spot predicted by years of scientific work. Analysts studying the signal say its acoustic profile, that's the way sound waves bounce back, has the clear signature of a large metallic object. You see, the ocean floor is full of rocks and natural ridges, but the sharp reflective pattern recorded here screams that this is something man-made. If that's true, this isn't just a weird rock formation. It could be the twisted remains of MH370. This possibility has electrified everyone who has followed this heartbreaking story. For the families of the 239 people who vanished, this could be the end of a long and painful wait. But not all things are what they seem. Dr. Line has long pushed a chilling theory about what happened on that flight. He believes the plane's disappearance wasn't an accident. Instead, he argues that Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, the pilot, deliberately flew the plane into one of the most remote corners of the planet. Line now claims the sonar data shows an impact crater, a scar on the seabed left by a massive object hitting it with incredible force. To him, this is the final piece of the puzzle. The most shocking fact is that if he's right, the discovery of the plane will prove it was no accident. But how could a signal finally be heard after all this time? A new era of discovery. When you look out at the Indian Ocean, it feels endless. It's a massive, unforgiving body of water, and somewhere in its depths, MH370 has been hiding. This environment is so hostile it's often called Earth's final frontier. It has beaten every search effort so far. But now, for the first time, the technology might finally be powerful enough to win. Leading the charge is a brand new ship called the Armada 7806. This vessel is more than just a boat. It's a floating command center for the most advanced underwater drones ever built. The real stars of the show are the autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs. These machines are the size of a small bus and are packed with instruments that can map the seabed with unbelievable accuracy. And you can see this everywhere in the data they produce. The numbers are just staggering. These AUVs can dive down to 20,000 feet, that's nearly 4 miles, where the water pressure would crush a normal submarine like a soda can. Once they're in the water, each drone can operate for up to 100 hours straight, gliding through the darkness and scanning the ocean floor. What makes these machines 100 times more powerful is their sonar. They carry a whole suite of different sonar systems, First, there's the side-scan sonar, which sends out powerful sound waves to cover huge areas of the seabed looking for large objects. Then there's the synthetic aperture sonar. This is the crown jewel. It creates images so clear you can see details just a few inches across. When wreckage is buried in mud, that kind of detail is everything. There's also a multi-beam sonar that builds 3D maps of the ocean floor, revealing every trench and crater. Finally, there's the sub-bottom profiler. This incredible tool can see through the mud and sand on the ocean floor. It sends low-frequency sound waves deep into the seabed to find objects that have been buried for years. The thing nobody tells you is that MH370 could be hidden under feet of sediment, completely invisible to normal sonar. This profiler is designed to find exactly that. The process is brilliant. The drones are launched and work like a team, scanning huge grids of the ocean. When they return to the ship, their data is stitched together to create one massive high-definition map. If they spot something unusual, they go back down, this time with high-definition cameras and bright lights to get visual proof. It's how you turn a mystery into solid evidence. This isn't just theory either. The company Ocean Infinity has used this tech to find other famous wrecks, like the Argentine submarine ARA San Juan. They've proven that these tools can go where humans can't. Now they've pointed this incredible arsenal at MH370, and it seems they finally hit the jackpot. Past searches were huge, but they always had limitations. This new technology was designed to make sure nothing could hide. But finding the plane is only half the battle. The real question is why it disappeared in the first place. What really happened up there? Even if the wreckage of MH370 is brought to the surface, it won't silence the biggest question of all. What happened on that plane? Over the last 11 years, a few major theories have taken hold, and each one paints a different, chilling picture. The first is the ghost flight theory. This idea suggests that the plane had a major technical problem, like a sudden loss of cabin pressure. If that happened, everyone on board, including the pilots, would have quickly lost consciousness due to a lack of oxygen. In that scenario, the Boeing 777, a highly automated aircraft, would have kept flying on autopilot. It would have stayed on its course for hours, a ghost ship flying through the night until it finally ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. Many people are crazy about this theory because it seems to explain the plane's long, silent flight. However, what many overlooked is that the plane didn't just fly straight. It made several complex, deliberate turns, which strongly suggests that a conscious person was at the controls long after it first went off course. This leads to the most disturbing theory of all, that the pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, intentionally downed the plane. To put it mildly, this is a dark path to go down, but some evidence points in this direction. Investigators found that Zahari had a flight simulator in his home, and on it he had plotted a course into the remote southern Indian Ocean, a path eerily similar to where the plane is believed to have gone down. While it's not a smoking gun, it suggests he may have practiced the route. If this theory is true, it would mean the pilot was responsible for the loss of 238 other lives, one of the most shocking acts in aviation history. Proponents argue that only a skilled pilot could have flown the plane so precisely off course while avoiding radar. There's another version of this called the controlled ditching theory. Some experts, like Dr. Line, believe the pilot didn't just crash the plane, but tried to land it on the water. They point to some of the recovered debris, which they say shows less damage than you'd expect from a high-speed crash. They think he may have tried to glide the plane onto the ocean surface to ensure it sank in one piece, making it nearly impossible to find. Of course, there are other, more out-there ideas, like a hijacking or some kind of military action that was covered up. But without any real evidence, these remain in the realm of speculation. The most shocking fact is that after all this time, the pilot theory remains one of the most plausible. The new signal's location might just be the piece of evidence that confirms it, showing that the plane ended up exactly where someone might have planned to hide it. But this new search didn't just happen overnight, it was the result of a long, painful journey. The billion-dollar graveyard. The search for MH370 stands as one of the largest and most expensive recovery efforts in human history. To put it mildly, the scale of the operation was breathtaking. In the years immediately after the plane vanished, a massive international effort was mounted, scanning over 46,000 square miles of the remote Indian Ocean floor. This wasn't just one country's mission. The governments of Malaysia, Australia, and China formed a joint task force, pooling their resources and bringing in experts from all over the globe. The price tag was jaw-dropping, soaring well over $150 million, a figure that doesn't even account for the military assets used in the early days. You see, ships, specialized aircraft, and cutting-edge technology were all deployed to the southern Indian Ocean, a place so remote and inhospitable it's often called the Roaring Forties for its ferocious winds and colossal waves. The search area was a lonely stretch of water where the nearest land is often 1,000 miles away, and the ocean depth plunges to thousands of feet, creating a dark, high-pressure environment that makes searching incredibly difficult. The tools they used were the best available at the time, but they were still pushed to their absolute limits. The core of the underwater search relied on sophisticated sonar equipment, often towed for miles behind ships in a painstaking process known as mowing the lawn. They also used autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, which were pre-programmed to scan sections of the seabed. On the surface, complex drift modeling was used to predict where any floating debris might wash up. This involves supercomputers running thousands of simulations based on ocean currents, wind patterns, and weather data. But the thing nobody tells you is that one of the most remarkable tools was ordinary people. A program called TomNod was launched, allowing millions of volunteers from around the world to scan high-resolution satellite photos from their home computers. It became the world's biggest crowdsourcing effort, a global community united by the desire to find any sign of wreckage in the vast expanse of water. The first real breakthrough didn't come for more than a year. In July of 2015, a piece of the plane's wing, known as a flaperon, washed ashore on Réunion Island, a speck of land off the coast of Africa thousands of miles from the main search area. This was the first piece of concrete evidence, the undeniable proof that MH370 had indeed gone down in the Indian Ocean. The discovery was confirmed when investigators matched a serial number on the part to the missing aircraft's maintenance records. Over the next few years, more than 20 other small pieces of debris were found on the coastlines of Mozambique, Tanzania, and Mauritius. But while these fragments proved the plane was lost, they couldn't pinpoint the location of the main wreckage. Instead, they only highlighted how far debris could travel. You can see this everywhere in the search timeline. Moments of intense hope followed by years of grinding frustration. False leads, like the underwater pings that were initially thought to be from the plane's black boxes, only added to the emotional roller coaster. By 2017, with the primary search area completely scanned and no new clues, the official search was called off. The governments involved issued a joint statement saying they couldn't continue without new, credible evidence. For the families of the 239 people on board, this was a devastating blow. It felt like the world was giving up on their loved ones. But the story didn't end there. In 2018, a private American company called Ocean Infinity launched its own search on a no-fine, no-fee basis. Using a fleet of advanced underwater drones, they were able to scan the ocean floor faster and more efficiently than ever before. They covered another 43,000 square miles of seabed in just a few months. But even with their incredible technology, they found nothing. The ocean held on to its secret. That same year, the Malaysian government released its final exhaustive report on the disappearance. It was thousands of pages long but offered no real answers. The search might be over, but the questions have just begun. Was this a tragic accident or the perfect crime? Let us know your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.